myself. Oh no, give me that sound. Oh, I gotta go like Cobain. 8 years to the grave, gone insane. My blood got propane. How you gon' go and throw my name with shame? Already cross-faded, making it to the disco. I hate it, and you know how this goes. You framed it, picture painted in my room. This that real life shit, not on Zoom. Got the scene in it.
Make sure you subscribe to JerCrispy.
What's up, y'all? It's your host, the most, that's the most. JerCrispy. Manga? Shit, it's been a little minute since we watched manga, but today what I got you, the obscure lore of I'm about to say Backyard again. Barnyards. Man, this show right here, saying they had a whole movie to it. This show was actually fun, interesting. The characters was actually just in the know and all that, bro. Like, it was actually good. But today we got my nigga Monk. He about to explain the score of Backyard. So let's get it. Where my camera is speaking? Oh, I gotta say, okay. Anywho.
Barnyard is one of the iconic franchises from the 2000s that you watched every so often and now have completely forgotten about since. The premise is talking farm animals, but this franchise is so much more than that. It is one of the most wacky, wild, and out-of-left-field series that have ever graced this earth, and that's probably the reason every single character from it has been made into some sort of meme. As you would imagine, a series called Barnyard begins on a farm, which in fact both has a barn and a yard. The barn is of great antiquity, filled with all of the animals on one of those spinny wheel toys. The barn has a minimum age of films that still did the 3, 2, 1 countdown, so however old those are. Said film is the safety film for the animals, so they don't die on the farm, of course. Not that that has ever happened before. The film warns of chemicals spread from planes, that I think they purposely sprayed on the animals decades ago just to get it on camera. There were 4 pets buried on the land, dating back 150 years ago, but that doesn't necessarily mean the barn was there. The pets are awoken in the modern day and come back to haunt the current animals. Winky the rabbit possesses modern-day Pig and gets all kinds of powers with no explanation. One of the ghosts is a fish, but the ghost is both the fish and the fish bowl. And I don't believe bowls are living. The farm is owned by this Humpty Dumpty guy, Farmer Buyer, who is a vegetarian. He is a widower, but he has some family, including Zach, his grandson, who is one of the only humans who know the animals can speak. Not even the farmer knows. The focus of the show, the animals, all of whom are bipedal and talk. Humans can understand them, but the animals don't want them to know they can talk, so they disguise, hide, and enact intricate plans as to not be caught. The animals are led by Ben, a male cow with udders. In the Barnyard universe, all cows have udders. Male and female. I suppose those pesticides from the plane were an actual concern, as it appears it has completely mutated the current livestock. Ben thought he would be the everyday regular cow, never amounting to anything, but when a baby calf came into his life, it gave him purpose. It's not his biological son, but he takes him in anyway. Otis. Also, with an Otis had a rough childhood. He was separated from his mother at a country fair. He had a bully, and this bully was real bad. I feel like there's a greater narrative. He would beat up Otis and then squeeze out all of the milk from Otis's udder and then spray it onto Otis's face. Yeah, I think they're trying to say something about that. Otis's life up to adulthood is mostly unknown. He had a best friend named Eddie who stole his idea for pizza-flavored gum and made money from it. Not that that's really a revolutionary idea. And at some point, Otis went to school with Donner and Blitzen, the Donner and Blitzen of Christmas fame. While Ben leads the animals, he tries to set up his son for the position. But Otis is out defying death at every opportunity with his band of buddies. Pig the pig, Pip the mouse, Peck the rooster, and Freddy the ferret, which is most certainly not a farm animal. Well, actually, kind of farm, but not this kind of farm. Maybe I'll start a ferret farm. Pig comes from a weird ritualistic species of pig, with arranged marriages once the pigs hit puberty ages. Unbeknownst to him, with some retconning sprinkled in, he also comes from a prissy family of royal pigs owned by J.T. Fripplehoot, who once bought a truffle pie recipe from Pig. So they also imply he is a truffle pig. But not only that, he is a physician. He gets portions of episodes dedicated to him talking to the audience with his PhD expertise. Adding to his resume, he became Emperor of the Moles for an entire 45 minutes. It's more time than we all have, I'm assuming, so don't judge him. Freddy is one of the few carnivores at Barnyard. This dude wanted to eat that chicken so bad. Tastes like chicken. That's all on that whole episode that dude was trying to, like, I think this whole season he was trying to to become vegetarian to stay there. He's also insane. Despite the whole not eating meat thing, he repeatedly tries to eat his best friend. They never have a falling out or anything, but Freddy just incessantly tries to eat him. His best friend is Peck, a rooster that might as well be a hen. He is a teacher on the farm, but is mostly just a tag-along and doesn't do that much besides get beaten into a mushy paste and gets rebuilt as a microwave robot. Pip the Raton. Get it? It's because he's a Spanish mouse, and the voice of reason to Otis. Finally, Duke the Border Collie. He has a sister, Stamps, and an arch-enemy named Baxter, a fellow dog who has stolen the identities of other dogs his entire life, and subsequently ruined the dogs' lives. He tried to do this with Duke, but failed, so he tried again, almost killing the farmer, but failed again, so tried a third time, wooing over Stamps and getting engaged to her. He's trying to inherit Duke's uncle's valuable bone collection, and part of Baxter's plan is to get rid of Duke. There's a few minor characters like Miles the donkey serving as Ben's suave right-hand man, and Newcomer Cow, or Player Cow. It's really up to you what you want to call it, because you get to name it. From the Barnyard video game, it's the cow you play as. The game has the same story as the movie, but with that extra character. So he lives around the barn too, somewhere. There's the Pizza Twins, two extremely identical pizza delivery twins, from wardrobe to brain size, dime size to be precise. They are super identical, almost as if you hit Control-C, Control-V on their character. Actually, that's probably what they did in the animation. For the perceived antagonists, the neighbors next door, the Beaties. Nora is probably the biggest actual threat to the animals. She's a bit off her rocker, mad as a hatter, not playing with a full deck, a sandwich short of a panic. She's cuckoo, but can you blame her? She's witnessing.
Yeah, she's low-key kind of crazy on some stuff. Like, I think she was like, Randall, there's cows outside, and then like Randall was like, it's a farm. It's a cow farm. Whatever he be saying.
Talking animals daily. And every time she tries to catch them, like recording them and then sending said recording to a broadcast, the animals manage to prevent it from seeing the light of day. They get her sent to a mental institution and subsequently break her out as well. I don't recommend that. The only one able to out-crazy her is her mother-in-law, Mother Beatty, proven in an episode. Nora is driven out of the house because of her, and Otis, of all people, or cows, has to help her. Her husband, Nathan Randall Beatty III, is a beer-drinking country boy. He's known for saying, there are cows outside. And their nephew, Snotty Boy. Imagine being so rotten, you're not deserving of a first name. Maybe it is his first name, but if that child popped out and they wrote on that birth certificate, Snottyboy, that's like some perverse attempt at spawn camping. Snotty Boy bullies everybody, including the poor little defenseless animals. But Snotty didn't have the best home life. His parents didn't care much for him. His father is a clown, an actual clown. I'm not making fun of him. That's his occupation. The animals almost killed him by running him over. Luckily, the wonderful Dr. Pig saved him. But while he was under, a disguised Otis proved to be a better father to Snotty than his own. But Otis wasn't a fan of that, so he quickly got out of there. Snotty was also bullied by his older cousin, Flemmy Boy. He at least gets a name, sharing it with a certain psychotic polar bear, Bernard, but I would say Flemmy is better. Very curious as to who named these children. Was it Grandpa Poopy Pants Boy? Uncle Smegma Boy? Realistically, that could be their names. Now the events of the movie. Like I said, Otis and crew are irresponsible, and Ben is constantly getting on Otis about that very thing. But Otis doesn't listen, so Otis indirectly kills his Sam Elliott-voiced father after Ben claims he won't back down. Dag, the red coyote, and his savage crew kill him.
But I won't back down, and I won't back down.
Despite being a quite sizable bull. The farmer buries Ben. I get he's a vegetarian, but you could have at least sold the meat. Otis must now lead the farm, but nothing goes right, especially when they unleash Wild Mike. Well, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't even know what that is.
Crazy Cravings mascot. I don't know. He's like the Tasmanian devil, but with some hair from Cousin It, and added behavior from Donnie from the Wild Thornberries. Some iconic memes later, like Biggie Cheese and the mailman thing. They concuss the farmer multiple times. Snotty Boy goes cow tipping, so Otis and the Jersey cows, the gang of tough guy cows, go boy tipping as retribution. Otis is finally able to cuddle with the new pregnant cow on the farm, Daisy, setting up a duplicate situation that Ben had with Otis. Along with Daisy came Bessie, voiced by Granny Sloth. After Etta the hen and her babies, including Maddie, one of the chicks, who has a close connection to Otis, are captured by Dag and the coyotes, Otis and all of the characters mangle the coyotes and rescue the chickens. Returning home, they find Daisy in labor and out pops a wee calf, who she names Ben. Otis, Daisy, and baby Ben created a family together, and then Wait, that's not how that happened. The show on Nickelodeon back at the Barnyard started, and Daisy was nowhere to be seen, along with baby Ben, Maddie the chick, and a few others. No explanation is ever given to what happened, so what else are we supposed to assume other than...
All right, that's not fun. That's not funny. All right, that's not. No, 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 no. Look. He ain't had to play that saxophone or whatever that shit called, bro. He ain't had to play that, bro. Come on.
Miles also doesn't really return, but he does in a game, the hit classic Back at the Barnyard Slop Bucket Games. So now the Nickelodeon show with 2 seasons and around 50 episodes, with insane episode plots and wild character backstories. In Daisy's replacement, Abby the cow, previously a circus cow, moves to the farm and takes over Daisy's role, even befriending Bessie like her predecessor. Abby has a cousin, Veronica, that visits the farm on one occasion, hypnotizing the guys with her beauty and turning them into simps. The show also takes characters with little screen time in the movie, makes them more prominent, and gives them a little bit more backstory. In the movie, Everett the dog, who had one scene, just turned 13, but he looks as though he died 5 years ago. In the show, his age is retconned when he reveals he was once owned by a revered explorer, Nebraska Schwartz. Nebraska went missing all the way back in the 1930s, making Everett somewhere around 80 years old in human years. Turns out Nebraska was in a slumber, stuck inside of a safe in the barn for 8 decades, and he's still living. Wild Mike gets a plot of his own, appearing only once, where he is put on TV and does what he loves, dancing and partying. The Gopher Underground, the mob of gophers that pawn man-made objects, also get some development, and Otis accidentally loses the barn to them one time. Since Otis is the only one with a mate, that being Abby, after he completely forgot about his presumed adopted son and all that, the show attempts to establish every character with some sort of partner. And I mean everyone, even Snotty Boy. Prunella the donkey comes in and makes Pip her side chick, but only to make her current boyfriend jealous, which results in Pip going back to his very not mutual crush on Bessie. A wrecking crew is going to destroy a habitat, so they pose Freddy as a special spotted 3-toed ferret, which leads to the arrival of an actual 3-toed ferret, but apparently spotted 3-toed ferrets are similar to praying mantises. Once the ferrets marry, the female will eat the male, so the entire barnyard has to
Oh, nah, son, I'd be looking like that too.
prevent the death of Freddy. Peck takes a potion to gain the courage to show his crush Hannah his cock-a-doodle-doo, but ends up challenging Root, the buff rooster, to a duel. Pig hits his puberty age and must journey back to his stomping grounds, where he is betrothed to a real hog of a woman, but like all of his compadres, his love story ends with him remaining single. Since the farmer is a lonely widower, they try to set him up, but she winds up being a gold digger. Farmer finds his own woman, the rodeo host Bronco Betsy, so Otis pretends to be a bull for him, but that's not the only thing Otis pretends to be. He pretends to be a woman, and ends up with the one, the only, Snottybo. Actually, all of the animals dress up, but Otis enjoys being a female so much, he just stays like this to get free stuff. I think Otis has a strange bond to Snotty. Otis once made a gigantic robotic moose, scaring Snotty into the middle of the road, leaving only Otis to save him. And I think that awoken something inside of him. A special father figure role for Snotty. That or the one time he really pretended to be his father while his actual dad was being operated on by Dr. Pig. The animals all have their own superhero alter ego that apparently was such a good idea, they get an entire made-for-TV movie where it's Cowman and his partners versus a weird scientist guy, voiced by Tom Kenny, a mutant corn beast, and Mrs. Beatty. Beyond Otis becoming a king of the beavers, the animals getting eaten whole by a whale, Otis running for mayor, and crazy groundskeeper Louie, there are tons of mythical creatures that pop up here and there at the barnyard. The leprechauns, they steal their potatoes. Pig unleashes unicorns. Mr. Wigglepix, a thought-to-be imaginary friend of Pig, but is really just a hedgehog that can only be seen by those who really believe, whatever that means. Just like Santa, whom Freddy gives some sort of disease to, so Otis has to take on the role with his college buds Donner and Blitzen. Snotty has also been begging Santa for a taser, which has not yet occurred, for a plethora of good reasons. Bigfoot also shows up multiple times and is an ally to the barnyard. A dinosaur is accidentally raised by Otis and falls in love with Mrs. Beatty. I'm just categorizing that one with the mystical creatures. I know dinosaurs aren't mythical. I'm not a dino denier. Actually, if you think about it, the final mystical creature is Weird Al Yankovic, He hires Bessie to be his personal shopper. After the animals investigate and think there is a deeper story going on here, Weird Al willingly reveals to them that he is just a talking horse and wears a human skin mask. Seems totally reasonable for Weird Al. Not any type of weird creature, but Otis and Abby manage to clone themselves, but only miniature versions of themselves. And if you assume this was a one-off episode plot, you'd be wrong. Clone Otis and Abby return for friends, so clones of the remaining characters are made. A few minor plot points happen, like Otis almost smashing a reporter with a giant ball, an atom smasher accidentally gets sent in the mail and Otis blows up the whole barn, and they activate an animatronic fox that Freddy was falling in love with via light reflection, and it causes some destruction. No big deal, I guess. In the finale, they finish off a plot that was very loosely alluded to at the very beginning of...
Boy, they look like that monkey out that one movie. If y'all know what I'm talking about, then y'all know.
That was very loosely alluded to at the very beginning of the series when a test space monkey crash landed in the barnyard. Now aliens come down, with plans to conquer Earth. One of these freaks falls in love with Bessie, engulfing her with his tongue. I cannot believe Nickelodeon okayed that one. The only way to defeat them is with milk, which Bessie so kindly shoots from Otis's udder. Mrs. Beatty ends up becoming physically discombobulated, with having her head where her legs should be, and then the show ends, and she is forced to suffer like that. That's it. What a poor woman. Wait, who said that? Did I hear that correctly? Crossovers? Of course. Like every Nicktoon, Barnyard is part of the Nicktoon universe, appearing in a few of the crossover games. In Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots, Console Edition, Otis is captured by the Toybots and turned into a master model for SpongeBob and gang to rescue. In the DS version of the game, Pip is the one captured. Canonically, SpongeBob has met Otis. In Sheen's imagination in Planet Sheen, Otis and Pig are seen walking by his window very briefly, thus confirming the entirety of Barnyard is in Sheen Estevez's imagination. I think that's what that means. There's an episode.
Anywho, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on social media, dip up on the screen. That's that nigga Monk. I'm out and that. And that's it.